Let's bring in Sportsnet's Arash Madani. We have a lot of things to get to, Arash. But I guess on this week of the 59th Labor Day Classic, and we learned on Monday that the Bombers are putting Charles Roberts' name on the Ring of Honor, I feel like maybe it would be a good time for your story about Blink in Labor Day Classic lore.
Roddy, I tell you what, I tell this story every year, and I swear I swear it's all true. I swear it is not embellished, and I swear that every time I tell it, it withstands the test of time. So I worked for the Bombers, as you remember, in 2008, and the Labor Day game in Regina at the old place ended up being the last game that Charles Roberts ever played for the Bombers. Winnipeg traded him, I think, on the Monday night, Labor Day Monday night. But I had never lived on the prairies. You know what Labor Day is like in Saskatchewan. I had no idea. And so what the Bombers would do is they would actually come in on Friday, practice in Regina on Friday, stay in Regina Friday night, let the players do whatever they wanted to do on Friday. Saturday, do the walkthrough at the old place. And then they'd stay in Moose Jaw at a spa or something like that in Moose Jaw. The staff told me, dude, like, you're from Nova Scotia. You've never experienced a Labor Day weekend. You have to stay in Regina. You have to see what this whole weekend is all about. I'm like, all right, sure. Yeah. Okay. I saw what the whole weekend was about. All right. But fast forward to Sunday. So I'm staying downtown at one of the hotels, and I'm checking out on Sunday morning, and I hear the elevator door open and this squeaky voice saying, "What are you doing here?" And I look over, and there is Charles Roberts. I'm like, what am I doing here? You're supposed to be in Moose Jaw, maybe on a bus on the way to the stadium. Can I get a ride? Sure. And we stop at a 7-Eleven. He's already lit a cigarette. Want any breakfast? Okay, Charles. He goes into the 7-Eleven. He grabs 2 Red Bulls, 2 Snickers bars. We drive up to the stadium, to the Ken Austin parking lot. You have a parking pass? We talked our way in. Charles lights a second cigarette, and he walks into the old Mosaic Stadium, the old Taylor Field, with this is how long ago it was, plastic grocery bag from 7-Eleven of 2 Red Bulls, 2 Snickers bars, smoking a cigarette. And that was his last day as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. So as prolific a career as he had, as Hall of Fame a run as it was, the last day was vintage Charles Roberts, if you actually knew him.
Hall of Famer in every sense of the word. So there you go, Labor Day memories. Now, Touchdown Pacific goes in Victoria. Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions against the Ottawa Red Blacks. It's not the same Nathan Rourke that left after the 2022 season. He hasn't been in 2 games. What's your read on Nathan Rourke?
I don't understand why everything has to be absolute with this guy. He's like, if you're going to do a full evaluation with Nathan Rourke's career, what would you grade it as? For some reason, because of that 6-game, 8-game run, whatever it was before he got hurt, it was almost like he was ordained as the next great one. And look, I root for the Nathan Rourke story, a Canadian kid. I remember when nothing was going on in COVID, during COVID, talking to some people in advance of the draft and them raving about this kid from Ohio, one of the best interviews they'd ever done in pre-draft interviews. But I see CJ Beathard got cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars today, Rod. And remember when Rourke went down there? This absurd hyperbole narrative, whatever you want to call it, that, well, Rourke's not going to get QB2 because CJ Beathard is cemented there because he's Trevor Lawrence's best friend. In professional football, teams would do anything to find the next great quarterback. They don't care. San Francisco has a 7th rounder, Mr. Irrelevant. Maybe Nathan Rourke isn't quite yet what many people believe he can be, but like, I'm reading stuff that he's a top 20 quarterback on the planet. I'm like, which planet? Because 0 touchdowns, under 400 yards, and multiple interceptions in the first 2 games tells me this is a player who has a lot more to grow and to do and to get better at. And the fact that Rick Campbell's kind of floating the idea out there, Roddy, that maybe it's VA time soon, tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. In retrospect, only Nathan Rourke can explain why he's done the things he's done, but I don't think he would change anything either. I talked to a friend of the family.
Well, why would he, though?
He shouldn't. And if anything, should he have played as soon as he did coming back this recent stint? Again, sure, players want to play. But was it too soon, do you think?
Maybe. I just, like, I spent a lot of years around baseball, and one of the biggest things that my biggest takeaway from baseball was sample size matters. Track record matters, but sample size matters. What is the sample size of Nathan Rourke's pro career? You know, we're like, think about the absurdity of a couple of summers ago, or maybe it was last summer. Rourke made that amazing highlight play in the preseason game. And suddenly felt like everybody up here was like, oh my God, he's the next Michael Vick. I'm like, man, can we just pump the brakes a little bit and inject some reality into the situation? It was a fun play. It was a great play. He's a smart kid. He might be on his way to something. But to now basically give him the keys and everything around him, I don't know, man.
I get it was a hell of a play, though, Arash. Jacksonville versus the
Fun
Cowboys.
play.
But I get what I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, I hope for the best for the young man because he is a tremendous young man.
I actually root for him. And I wonder, honestly, truth serum to Nathan Rourke, what would he say right now? Look, I get that the NFL thing didn't work out for him the way he wanted to, but here's what I've seen today. I have seen CJ Beathard cut. I have seen Bailey Zappi cut. A few months ago, I saw Mac Jones traded for a 6th. Nathan Rourke was in the building with these guys. And I wasn't there in Jacksonville. I wasn't there in New England. But I'm telling you, if somebody walks in and has the skill set to be a franchise quarterback, they're going to keep him around. Remember, the 49ers gave up everything to go draft Trey Lance. And then what'd they do? They gave the keys to Mr. Irrelevant. Once Jimmy went down, once Lance went down, Trey Lance never got the job back. If you can ball, they're going to find a spot for you. And I'm not saying that Nathan can't ball. What I'm saying is he had a long enough run there in Jacksonville where they said, nah. But again, Rourke is still a young guy. Rourke's a guy who hasn't had a lot of reps in professional football. So that's why this whole idea of top 20 on the planet, this whole idea that he's going to take over the world, come on, let's inject some reality into the situation here.
Sure. But the Lions are still giving him $800,000 a year. So the magical marketing money. I've been covering this league since 1991. I never heard of the term marketing money until 2 weeks ago. Anyways,
why have a salary cap? Why have a salary cap if you have marketing money? Who are we fooling here?
Everybody, apparently. Your Super Bowl pick is who?
I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. The New York Football Jets.
And?
I guess the Rams.
I guess you won't say Detroit. You can't bring yourself to say Detroit.
Well, I can't because I'm not sold on Detroit's back end. I'm not sold on their linebackers or their secondary. I just can't with Jared Goff. I just can't.
Okay.
I really like their offensive line. I really like their edge rushers. The Rams were within an eyelash of beating Detroit last year, and everyone's going to say San Francisco. Everyone's going to say Philadelphia. I'm just going out on a limb.
Yeah.
The Rams aren't going to the Super Bowl, but I'm just going to pick them just because why not?
And nobody will remember. You, sir, are a national treasure. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the ball.
I appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Let's do this again soon.
Always good. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. The great Arash Madani from Rogers Sportsnet.